Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Talk Tinta. Today we have the privilege of having badass lady tattooer Emily Owens. Welcome Emily, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I wouldn't say I'm old school because there's some real clear old heads in there.
Okay.
I'm I'm the middle.
In the mid.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Mid. Okay. Well, you do know a lot of heavy hitters. You know,
I mean,
you've been in the industry for a long time.
You had to know him. You had to know him to be a lady and be a tattooer. Then, so
cool.
That's
oh
how I
yeah.
worked out. But I'm stoked to be here. I'm excited for the podcast. So.
And I know you're a bit nervous. Little.
I'm super nervous, but we're gonna crush this, just like tattoos.
Hell yeah, that's what I like. So Emily, you're from Sacramento.
Yep.
Or from the Bay Area?
No, I'm from Sacramento. I travel a lot and I do some guest spots in the Bay Area, but mostly I'm just in Sacramento.
How many years have you lived in Sacramento now?
Most of my adult life.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably like 20, 25 years.
Hell yeah.
And realistically, off and on my whole life. That's where I went to school, but my dad was in the military, so we did a lot of travel.
Oh, okay, cool. Hell yeah. So talk to us a little bit of your backstory before or how you got into tattooing.
Man, tattooing chased me. I tried really hard to tattoo when I was young, and it just really wasn't. It wasn't my thing. I couldn't catch it. I couldn't catch the information, and it was really difficult to get information then. You know, everything you had to buy from somebody that you knew, or you had to write a letter, or someone had to answer the phone and say you could have a machine. So I did it for a little while, and then I left, and I went to art school, and I really tried to dial up, what I was offering. And then I came back, and I was blessed to be welcomed into a real heavy-hitting shop in Sacramento, and be shown kind of what it was while I was gone. And so my journey was real different. I tried to make other things work, and where nothing else would work, tattooing always worked for me. So I gave in, and I finally said okay, and now I've been doing it full-time again for almost 8 years.
8 years? Yeah. Hell yeah.
So, but I did my first tattoo over 20 years ago. So it's a weird blend of like old school information and hybrid information from college, and then all the new school stuff now. So it's a different game these days, for
Hell
sure.
Yeah. So getting back into the tattoo industry from what it was a couple years back before when you first started trying to get into it. What's the difference that you see that was then to what it is now?
Man, everything's different. And I think, a lot of the guys you talk to too will tell you like every 5 to 10 years now it's gonna just morph into something else. So right now I think there's 3 different kind of generations of tattooers running all the same races, where like the new kids can buy all their stuff online and watch YouTube videos, and you don't have to have an apprenticeship. You can just walk in. That's mind blowing. Back when I was trying it, they were like, you will dedicate your life, you will starve, you will mop, you will learn, you will be quiet, and you were grateful to understand the humility that it took, because you'd watch guys get the big head and kind of fall out of the industry because nobody wanted to tolerate them. But it was different then,
it was
everybody
a system
on the street
that kind of washed off people, right?
Yeah, and everybody on the street would be done with that guy, right? They'd be like, well, where were you? And then you'd tell them your story, and they'd be like, well, if that happened there, you can't come here. Same with tattoos, they come in for their hands and their faces now, and you can't say no because the guy across the street will undercut you and do the work. So it's different, there's old heads, and then there's hybrid kids that learned out of books that now have computers, and then there's the new kids with just computers and availability.
Right.
So it's a wildly different thing for sure.
So did it take you a while to kind of like get back into like what you used to do back in the day to what it is now? Like, did it take you a while to like mold yourself into the new ways, or?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time somebody was like, you got to use an iPad. I was like, I don't understand why we're doing that. Like, can't we just draw it? And they're like, well, yeah, but how much time do you want to waste? Right. So it's nice to be able to modify the sizes of things and send things straight to the printer. You're not standing there redrawing 10% less, I didn't do a lot of tattooing in my first set of years. I just did real basic stuff. They didn't let you do any crazy stuff back then. You had to really like be somebody to do that. And so it's been a weird journey, because I know like a lot of new tattooers a while ago, it was always American traditional first. It was always, real fundamental stuff. And There was a long time where I struggled to make line work happen for me. And I had a mentor that was really kind enough to, stick with me and make sure that the gear matched. And so going from coils to rotaries was my game changer. The speed and the stroke length and just the reliability of equipment has changed dramatically. We're not making our own needles. We're not pushing steel tubes. It's a whole different ballgame. So where I'm at right now is a really divine place for me because where other people are aiming to like be the best tattooer, I don't know that I'll ever even put my hat in that ring. I just want my tattoos to look like my paper art, and I want people who have an interest in me being a creator for them.
Oh yeah. So what is now that you're telling us all this, what does tattooing mean to you?
It's an exchange. So for me, it's not something that I'm doing for me. It's something that I'm giving to someone else at their request.
Yeah.
And so it's very humbling, right? Like you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go make some art. And let's face it, a lot of tattoos are not like joyful tattoos. They're really impactful memories for people that they want to carry, and connecting socially at that level every day, all day for people. That's really what drives me. So it's the memories part. It's the exchange. I'm blessed to be able to give people those visual memories to carry with them until they leave the earth.
Nice. So I like that. So, what's the inspiration you could think of, or you could say your art? Like, what do you find in your art as inspiration?
It's funny because when I draw a lot of like really childish, kind of soft, almost looks like children's book stuff. But when people hire me to do tattoos for them, they hire a lot of horror, like hyper illustration stuff. So it just, my style translated into like this really broad category of my art on paper is executed like my tattoos, but the content is super different. So it's a real weird thing for me.
Okay. So do you love the fact that you get to tattoo and travel and get to meet new people on a daily basis? Is that also something that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, yes and no. I think the expectations of tattooing have changed, right? Guys used to come in and get these huge back pieces, and they were all traddied out, and they'd get on their bikes and go back to the sun,
Yeah.
Now people come in and they're like, oh, this one dot is out of place. And so I think the expectation is really drastically different, where the internet's really changed for people how they think we service them. And I think that's something that as an industry, collectively tattooers have to work together to kind of reprogram consumers to understand like what we are capable of doing for them. So I think that's really interesting to watch.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day, I mean, only a certain amount of people walked into a tattoo shop or a tattoo parlor. It was you had your type that got tattooed, and now it's like it's opened up to such variety of people come into a tattoo shop. So I feel like our job as tattooers is to educate our clients, our people, because it's, put on that. Yeah, it's people expect to, like, I have a lot of like old school tattooers that I know, and they're like, get the out of here, and it's not about that no more,
No, it's different. I've had a lot of kind of in and out experiences with different kinds of tattooers, different styles of tattooers, and for a long time, some of the old heads would kind of be like, you're looking at this in a way that it'll never be. You can't make it Starbucks. You can't make it corporate. Stop telling people so much about what we do. But that's where we are now, right?
What's your take on that?
I think that when you're transparent with people, you gain their trust. And I think that ultimately that is really what you're doing. You can give away a tattoo and they don't have to trust you. You're never going to see them again. And so from a business standpoint, that's not the best way to operate, really. But by being transparent, they understand that you're really looking to provide them something that is wholesome. And I think that's the difference in connecting with a client or providing a service. And so I think tattooing has really gone from a place where it was service driven. You'd come in, they'd say, sit down, they'd print the design, or you'd point at what you wanted, and then you'd get it and you'd go away. Now, you know, you want to sit down, you want to have this whole soulful connection with people. They want to feel good about it, but also they want to understand.
Right.
I think there's this curiosity with you know, the circus freaks, if you will, like the tattooers, where they don't get it. They're not here every day.
Right.
And we take that for granted that we have that. And so sharing small pieces of that where it's appropriate really connects those clients with us as tattooers, and they stay longer, they spend more.
So now, let's you talk to us a little bit about Emily, the tattooer. Now talk to us a little bit of Emily, the person.
I'm just a regular person, man. I'm just waking up every day trying to do amazing stuff and enjoy my life. I think that my person has changed, you know. I've grown a lot in the last, you know, five years especially. I think really though, I just want to wake up every day and feel purposeful.
Nice.
And just really, like I say, you know, when we see each other, you know, how you doing? Well, I'm great. I woke up today, you know, just blessed for life. Everything else is kind of like an extra little gift, you know. So you wake up and you're blessed for life. That's like the birthday cake, but every piece of frosting or every sprinkle is just a little something cool that's extra, you know.
All right, nice.
So,
I'm gonna move your mic a little bit down, a little bit, I guess. Right there.
I would assume he probably needs me to say something.
I guess the mic was to in your face or something.
Oh, can you move the screen down too as well?
This one?
Oh, the pop.
It's just
There's a big shadow on your
Okay.
face.
Oh,
Okay.
is that better for you?
Is that good?
Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah. No. So Emily is a person. I just am. I'm doing my best, man. That's really all I'm after. I have a real sufferance where I don't want to do things with half my ass. So I'm just busy throwing my whole ass at life.
Nice. And you know, you're very. We got to meet each other in San Francisco for the first time when we were over there at the expo, and I mean, your energy was just. You know, you came to us, and that's who you are. I feel like you're just a big bundle of energy, you know?
I think you have to be unapologetically yourself, and I do think that tattooing allows us to do that, where we can be really genuine versions of ourselves. What's for me will find me, and I know that if I honor myself that way, that other people will kind of honor that as well. So I appreciate that you see that energy, that you
know,
notice it.
and that's, you know, and that's kind of like that's one of those things when you go to an expo and you go to these tattoo conventions. You don't see a lot of people talking to each other anymore like that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Right, people are just kind of sticking to themselves. And
Yeah,
just
they put their headphones on, it's weird.
You know, and it's like, and I feel like that's where, you know, you kind of network in a tattoo expo. You know?
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because if the expo's super busy, your head's down working all weekend, and you're not really meeting people, and so, you know, we go and we're like, oh, I hope we clean up while we're there, but a small piece of me always hopes that like there's pockets of slow, because if you're not really getting out there and knowing anybody, then you're never going to get feedback on what you're doing, and feedback really helps you change how you're doing what you're doing. So I think it's both. You know, you got to hope that it's busy enough that you can clean up a little, and it's slow enough that you can take home some new friends. Yeah.
And that's kind of how we were fortunate enough to be right next to you.
Yeah,
and
that was super cool.
So that was, you know, where we kind of, because I didn't really go out and meet a lot of people. You know, I kind of stay in my bubble sometimes, but that's why we were able to kind of.
Well, yeah, and I'm a weirdo, man. If I like you, I'm gonna be like, hey, like, man, what's up? I want to know more about you. I think as humans, we failed to acknowledge like the remarkable people that we spend time around, because we're embarrassed to like admit that we're not those people, or you know, we don't think we're cool enough, right? Like you've got your whole crew and you're dialed in and you're out of this, you know, like fancy shop, and I don't own a shop. I work in a beautiful shop with some really amazing people, and so I always am trying to, you know, really honor like admiration, and you guys had like a real cool setup. Your vibe was cool, and so I was like, I gotta know these guys. So
you know, that's kind of what we do. That's why I tell the guys, you know, we take our big speaker and we just kind of you know, do our thing when we're out there. So and you know, now you got to guest spot over here at the shop, and like, what's been your experience so far?
You know, it's a blessing to step out of anything that you do every day and see a different version of it. I love the way you guys are operating here. I really love to hear kind of your feedback about what you think tattooing is. And it's always great to share your art with new people.
Yeah.
One of the things I really tell a lot of the new kids that are in private studios is that, like, man, you're never going to grow. You're never getting any criticism. You're never getting any feedback. You're never watching anything you don't do. And so it's been cool because you guys do a bunch of stuff I don't get to see kind of on a regular basis. So it's really neat.
And that's the thing with the newer generation of tattooers.
Yeah.
They're so, you know what? I want to just be in my bubble, and then I'm just gonna open my little studio and just tattoo.
I mean, consumers kind of drive a huge portion of our business where they're allowing that. Years ago they wouldn't have allowed it. They wouldn't, the people that were coming into tattoo studios 5 and 10 years ago wouldn't go into a private studio. They wouldn't have any interest in it.
Right.
And so now tattooing is vast now, and so I think the variety of things has really changed how we operate as an industry. And so private studios, where they bother a lot of people, I don't feel like they bother me. Those kids are gonna get, the people that are for them, and like I said, man, what's for me will find me.
Tell them I'll go over there right now. So my other question would be, now, what is something that it's gonna be a two-part question.
Love that.
What's your best experience that you could think that you bring with you at all times, that you're like, I love what I do and this is why I do it, whether it was a live experience, whether it was a client experience, and then also what has been something that you're like, man, I really need to throw the towel now. I hate being in this industry because of this.
I'll start with the second part. I hate really young people wanting to tattoo their faces and tattoo their hands and stuff. I think young people don't understand because they haven't lived in really heavily tattooed skin, how the world's still gonna see them, right? Like they believe that everybody's cool with tattoos now, and so job stopping, man, that shit makes me want to throw the towel in every time I gotta do it. And we used to be able to say no, and everybody on the block would say no, but you got to say yes now, or you're not going to eat. And
do you think?
I like to eat.
Okay, do you think that should go back to being a thing?
I don't think it matters what I think about that. I think there's a really great tattooer out of Sacramento, Chris Aguilar, and he says it all the time: evolve or dissolve. And I think that's a good example. You have to take that money because the industry demands that of you as a tattooer, and I think the tattoo industry worked really hard to not have different types of oversight, right, and different types of regulation. And so as a consequence of that, we're doing a little restoration now where we have to kind of decide. And the clients are driving that bus, man. We're not picking that. You got to do the job stoppers or you won't have a job because that's what they want.
Right.
And we're the ones that made them look cool, so we can't really hate on it either because we're the reason they want them, right? So that's the part I hate. What I love is when people haven't entertained getting tattooed and they come in and their friend's gonna get a tattoo and they're like, no, I don't have any, or no, I don't want any, or it's the mom or whatever it is, the partner, the watcher.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you're gonna get one too. Let's figure this out. And people over 40, I think, kind of are still in that older mentality where tattoos are a little more taboo. And so giving someone their first tattoo is just such a joy. And I think that providing that experience for someone and showing them that, we're not all bikers and bar guys, we're just regular people that just happen to figure it out.
Yeah.
That brings me great joy. And every time you do a tattoo you love, when I get to sell a piece of my own art that's not, printed off the internet and forced down my throat, I really love to do my own art. So there's a lot of glory moments, man.
And we were talking yesterday and you were mentioning that you do this promo, every once in a while where they bring you baked goods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have a couple.
Because you do things for the community as well,
right?
As a tattooer, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should. That's kind of the goal, right, of being in a community is supporting that community. And so as a female tattooer, I think it's important for us to connect with women who may or may not have felt comfortable, in the industry prior. And so I have a couple clients who have had some really unfortunate situations, and they've been tattooed without consent, and for anybody listening that doesn't understand what tattoos without consent has done to the industry. Really, please take some time and go learn about why tattoos without consent really matter. We don't have enough time here for me to get into that, but it does. It matters, and I think that we're responsible for repairing anything bad that ever happened that we can with tattooing. And so I tattoo them for baked goods because they're a little shy on cash, but they have some really, really horrible stories about how they were forcefully tattooed. And so I offer them, sessions for muffins, whatever makes them feel good. And then we donate the muffins to our local women's shelter. So we take the baked goods and we kind of pay them forward.
That's so cool. So that's awesome.
We have to, I think as an industry, man, we have to be mindful. When people come in and they got really shitty tattoos, they did pay for that. They had an experience somewhere. And so you get to choose to repeat that experience for them or be the hero.
And that's the thing about tattooing. I feel like once you're tattooing, that's exactly, you said, the magic word, experience.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you never forget.
No.
The person that tattooed you.
No, I mean.
Or that's why I like to call like my tattoos like they're pages in my book of life.
Yeah, I call mine passport stamps. Right? Like it kind of shows where you are and where you were going at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I refuse to cover any tattoo that I have. I don't have anything, offensive to the world, but oh man, I've got some real cut up tats, but I won't cover them because those moments, they live loud when you give them the chance.
What's the craziest tattoo you have?
Oh.
Or what's the craziest tattoo you've done? The one in one.
This is dangerous. I don't know who's listening, but no, I mean, I'll tell you a story about a tattoo I saw get done that was totally crazy. I worked in a shop and this girl came in kind of late. We were street shop, so nobody said no. We're sitting around, we're waiting for walk-ins. And she wants her pussy tattooed, and she's got her guy on the phone call, and he's on FaceTime, and he's in prison, right?
Oh.
And so we're like, oh man, this has got to be like a fetish situation. So the homie was like, oh yeah, I'll do it, and I was like, okay. And the girl was like, could you stay in the room? I really want a female to do it, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And so the homie did it. He crushed it, but it was the weirdest thing to watch, man. I really think the dude got off on it, like watching someone else like handle his lady and people being in the room and shit. So sometimes it's not like the tattoo that's wild; it's like the other stuff going on,
what's going on,
or like what they're trying to fulfill in the experience, right? Some people come in and they don't know what to expect, and so that's when you really get to win. Because if you're their first tattoo experience, you're kind of setting the bar.
Right.
But if you don't know what they're after, you're just kind of following along with their agenda, and those folks can get a little weird.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
I've gotten a couple of those.
Yeah.
So now, as far as like a crazy tattoo that you have.
I mean, I have a crazy tattoo from a heavy hitter that was a real point of contention in my life. I worked for a shop, and I was at a convention. I got tattooed by someone that I should have said no to, probably based on like the political standpoint of old school tattooing, and I did not say no. Instead, I felt honored, and I was blessed up, and so I wear a tattoo that cost me my origin shop, but unlocked a lot of doors after that for me. So I think that in tattooing,
it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. In tattooing, they used to really work for the shop you were at, and you just stay there until something exploded, and that's kind of how it was for me. And I'm blessed now that it's amicable, everybody's kind about it, and we've all taken some space. But I understand both sides of it. The guy wanted to tattoo me, and it would have been disrespectful to say no, and it would have been disrespectful to say yes, so I wasn't going to win, really. So I did what was best for me, and I made the old man happy, and I went home and packed my station up because I made my boss mad. So,
Crazy.
It was okay in the end. It's an experience I won't forget because it really is one of the old school experiences. I think those types of experiences will die out as the old heads, leave the world. Bless them all, may they all stay forever. But
because that was the thing about old school tattooing is the politics involved.
There were a lot of rules. There were a lot of rules, and they weren't regular rules, man. They were do or die rules. You were gonna do it, or you weren't gonna tattoo.
I feel like sooner than later it'll get back to that. after after a while,
maybe. I
I
think
won't say the full the whole full saying, but it's like, you know, we say it at the shop the other day. We said, strong men create hard times.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? Strong men create hard times. Soft men create what is it?
Well, there's one too with like fathers, right? Like rich fathers make poor sons is I think
Right.
one of them too,
Yeah.
right? And then poor sons make rich sons, right? So if you have, then you're gonna have a little generation of have-nots, and then the have-nots are gonna work really hard to make another generation of the haves.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of in a cycle of that. But I think tattooing has changed exponentially from what it ever was, and I don't think it will. I don't think it'll ever go back. I think as much as
You don't?
no, I don't. I think it's wishful thinking, man. I think there's too many people, and again, we didn't regulate our industry. And so instead of us doing it for us, now it will be oversight committees that do that for us. We're going to look at, FDA's regulating inks, and health departments don't know anything about it, but they're standing there telling you got to have,
Right.
pipe and drape every 2 people, but there's a open air fan 6 feet
Yeah.
above you, and so I think tattooing as a whole, everybody's going to have to unify. It's like the mafia, right? Like if everyone can sit down and figure out how to dodge the oppressive system and manifest tattooing to be what they want, then they might win. But there's a lot of politics, and if those guys can't set
But you
that
see, that's the
aside,
thing, because I remember a while back here in town, they wanted to create a board of tattooers, or a board of where it was all going to be monitored, and
Yeah.
it was and if you were in this society or whatever it was called, like this board, you had a say. But
Yeah.
if you weren't,
you didn't.
you didn't have a say, and then I feel like it was good, because it's kind of like, it's like that double-edged sword, like with
Yeah.
HOA.
Oh
There's
yeah,
people
yeah.
that want to have HOA because
It'll look real nice, but you don't want to play ball with it,
right, and then there's the ones that don't like, and it's
Yeah.
like once you're in it and then you get out, now you're gonna
Yeah.
like get blackballed, and then that's where
Yeah.
and I feel like that's probably one of the biggest things. Like I know a lot of these big companies are all were like there's needle companies that were making needles, and they were making that they cared to sell them to artists, and then they got out corporate, and now they're selling
Yeah, I
them
mean,
to everyone.
we're really watching probably the most corporate move we've ever seen in tattooing with the accumulation of brands, right? We're really watching Nexus buy up a lot of the brands. We're watching tattooers who don't really know and didn't come up back then just buy corporate made in China gear, which is fine, doesn't matter where it's made, but I think that cookies made with love taste better. You've heard me say that, right? And I think that when you buy gear from people who make it, then there's a soul in it, and there's really something to be said for that. I think tattooing is one of the oldest forms of blood magic, man. And I know people, think I charge crystals and shit, but that's not really it. I mean, it's really barbaric. We are literally pounding ink in your skin with a sharp object. If you're buying from giant corporations, you're doing it in a soulless way. And I think there's a lot of people who don't understand the impact of that. When things go wrong, they don't know where to start to kind of manage that with their clients. They don't know who to call. There's nobody to talk to. When you buy things from humans, you get the opportunity to speak to those humans and understand their objective and how their equipment's meant to be used and how to troubleshoot things. And
I mean, that was what we were just talking about earlier, where we were talking about the Starbucks.
yeah,
I mean, you buy it through the app, you can't tell them how you want it
you can't. No,
until
you
you're
can't.
actually there. And then
Well, and that's the danger of kind of where we're at. We need some oversight, because if they don't limit the amount of shops, then you end up with 20 in a row, and then nobody eats good. So how do we accommodate everybody, and do we need to accommodate everybody? And I don't know that I have the right answers. The industry is. I'm a very little fish in this big pond.
And that's one of I tattooed a tattooer not long ago, and that's exactly what not tattooed, but interviewed a tattooer not long ago, and exactly what he was saying. He used to make his own needles.
Oh yeah.
And that was the magic, that you were getting a tattoo, not only were you getting that design, but he took time to make, that time to make those needles.
Well, I mean, everything used to be handmade, right? Like when I was in the shop, my first round out, they made all their own inks, they made all their own needles, they made all their own tubes, all their own machines. I mean, the amount of work that went into handcrafting just the tools that you needed was a big deal. And so you got guys, like Mickey Sharps, making some of the best machines you'll ever see run. And he's getting the big rundown because guys want to run rotaries. Right. And so and don't get me wrong, Mickey Sharp's machines are super solid, super reliable. Everyone should have one. But a lot of tattooers will never run a coil machine.
Well, and I feel like it's not just that they wouldn't run a coil machine anymore, but it also, the health benefits from running coil your whole life, and then you go to a rotary, your hand's gonna love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some occupational hazard for sure. It's just like anything else. I think that what I like is, you've got guys like Rafa making new equipment and trying to really honor that our bodies are human, and it doesn't really matter how gangster you think you are as a tattooer. Your back is the same as everybody else's.
Right.
And so you sit like a shrimp all day, and you're gonna need something. And so I think that we're gonna watch a very blended version of growth in our industry where technology is kind of seeping in and taking over things. We're going to watch science show us what it really looks like inside the skin with our inks. But we're also going to watch those classic old guys that come into the industry and have really dedicated. And even when they leave the industry, they're still dedicated to that. And they're going to be really interested in making gear that provides safety for tattooers in our industry. So I think it's a really interesting time to be a tattooer.
And that's the thing about tattooing. One of the things I love about tattooing is no matter what, it's been going on for years, and it has not.
Yeah, I mean, that's never going to change. I think that it used to be just, cultural, and now it's decorative, right? Like when we were kids, everybody had chains and jewelry, and that was their bling. Guys like Post Malone have made it tattoos are your bling now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of culturally how you class yourself in a different kind of way.
If you
now.
don't have a tattoo, you're a square.
Yeah, you might be a square, you might be broke. Who knows?
Who knows, right?
Yeah, we don't know. But the same thing, back then with cars and jewelry. Like that was how you said, I have money and I know what I'm doing, or whatever you were trying to say.
Like when I was in middle school, that was a thing, you didn't have a peeper, you weren't making it.
Man, it was shoes. It was shoes for us, man. Everybody had to have Nike shoes or, Sheltors and Cortezes and like just all the fancy shit. And if you weren't decked out in like Dickies, you know what I mean? Like you weren't cool.
Nope, not at all.
I wasn't cool. I was in Oshkosh, I was wearing whatever I could fit in. I didn't give a shit.
So, now that you tell us a little bit of the future, the past of tattooing, what are things that you would like the future of tattooing to become?
Man, that's a loaded question. I don't think I'm the boss of that. The future for me...
What would you want to see?
Unity. I'd love to see some unity. I think that we really have to come together as tattooers and decide not to let the government kind of roll us over with their regulation that makes no sense because they've never tattooed. I think that we have to moderate our industry a little better. But I do think that we are responsible for the client experience right now. And this generation will dictate to the next generation how it's supposed to feel or sound when you get a tattoo. And so I think that we're ultimately responsible for making the best tattoos we can and making the best client experience that we can. And I think that our generation has a different challenge that regulation will have to happen at some point. And I don't know whose job it's going to be. I don't know, but watching how it's going now, it's like a spider web. They're just mounting at every corner of the room. You have no idea how it's connecting. And so I think really honoring the people that have put the time into the craft matters a lot. That's I think we're responsible for providing an impeccable client experience to the best of our ability, being transparent and honest with our clients so that they can shop with their own full integrity, and we have to honor where we came from. So
those are cool stuff right there. That's for sure.
I mean, it's necessary, man.
And that's the thing about, and I feel like at the end of the day, it all has to come down also to the unity, the integrity,
Yeah.
the respect. Because at the end of the day, like you said, you know, that if you don't do it, somebody down the street will do it. Because at the end of the day, everybody's just out for the green.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
I know a lot of folks will say, "Oh, I don't tattoo for the money." Well, how do you eat, bro? Like, let's call it what it is, right? A small piece of you absolutely tattoos for money, or you would just tattoo for motorcycle parts. You know, I mean, you wouldn't care. You just tattoo for muffins. You know, if I tattooed for muffins all month long,
And
how am I
that's
gonna eat? You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've met a lot of artists that'll say that I'm all about the art. I don't care about the art. I don't care if I don't make money. But then they're charging
Yeah.
three times the price that you're charging.
Yeah,
You know?
I think there's a healthy balance. I mean, tattooing is a real artistic challenge. As a medium, no two skins are ever the same. And that's something that really drives me is that there's no ceiling for how far you can understand. And so for me, it's like a knowledge race. I want all the information I can possibly accumulate because I'm fascinated by it. But for some people, it really is just about the money. I think that you gotta have a balance, man. You gotta tattoo because you love it.
Yeah.
You gotta be honest with yourself about your capacity. You also have to push yourself and do things you're a little uncomfortable with sometimes, and that's kind of how you get to the next place. So you gotta love the art. You gotta do the work. You gotta be humble enough for people to want to choose you instead of like you forcing yourself on people. And I think it's a duty of ours to be true to the business. I know a lot of guys that do charge a lot more than what the industry might demand. But we're kind of at a turning point with that where clients are not fools to what we're doing, and the availability of information is pretty vast now. And so, I mean, if somebody wants to pay 10 grand for their neck to get shot, in a fancy shop by a famous person, well, who am I? So we got to take the good with the bad, man.
Yeah, and we had the discussion the other day about how the way tattooing's going, where, like you said, celebrities are, getting full body suits in 10 hours, getting tattooed by 5-6 people,
Well, and I think, I know that I think Robert Foe is doing that. And I've said the name probably wrong, so forgive me, but
yeah,
I know
ganja.
I know there's a bunch of them. Yeah, more power to you, man. I mean, he, I know one of the things he said was, something along the lines of, they laughed at us when we had piercers, and then they laughed at us when we had rotaries, and then they laughed at us when we had numbing cream, and now they're laughing at us for anesthesia, but they're not laughing at our money. And when they want to know what we're doing, the door's open. We're gonna share with them too. And so I think. Tattooers inherently live a mental lifestyle where you should be kind of telling yourself the sky's the limit. And so for anyone to hate on anybody else is kind of counterproductive for the industry. I think we should be asking questions instead of throwing shade.
That's nice. I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, how'd you get there?
Yeah.
Do I think it's healthy for the body? I'm not a doctor, but probably not, man. I think it's scary. You couldn't pay me to take a snooze and wake up with a suit.
I mean, it's already scary enough to go get surgery and they have to put you back.
Yeah,
So it's,
I think it's
for a tattoo.
High risk, high reward, man. High risk, high reward. And I know those guys are raking it in, but they've got a program, and there's you got to put some respect on the fact that they've taken the time to teach all 6 of those guys standing there are running the same drop system, the same voltage system. They're all simultaneously running mag shades into each other. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a really phenomenal thing to watch because it's not anything that anybody else has done.
Right.
So, from an artistic standpoint, it's remarkable. You can't
because it might look easy, but it's not.
No, nothing that looks easy is easy, man. Not at all. You got to think those guys have to have an anesthesiologist, and I couldn't imagine the consent form in that shop. So I don't think I'd get to. I don't think I'd get to that point.
Crazy.
But I know, you got to. Yeah, you can't hate on someone else because he's taking the bag home. People are mad that that's not their bag.
Right.
So.
That's crazy. I mean. And that's the thing about like going to expos and talking about regulations and all that. That's the wildest thing because I mean, the last expo I went, and this is like people that want to do expos, but they're not qualified to do these expos. But they see the money. They see the money in the expo, so they say, "Oh yeah, let's just put a bunch of people into this room. They'll pay us X amount of money."
Yeah. Expos, I think, are tricky. I mean, we have a lot of promotion crews running kind of simultaneously right now. You know, you got villains and body art, and then you got a ton of independent guys, and I think there's an advantage and a disadvantage to each one. And I think from a tattooer standpoint, if you think you're gonna go to an expo and make the most amount of money you ever made in a weekend, I think you should, evaluate your expectations. When I go to expos, I chalk it all up as a loss. Before I even leave, I'm like, that's it.
That's
a wrap.
That's my mentality. The same thing as I don't see it as the investment that I'm putting in the money. I'm just seeing the investment of the experience.
Yeah, it's a social thing for me. I know tattooers that go and really they don't care if they meet anybody at all. They're really hell bent on taking home as much money as they want, and good for them. We gotta have those guys.
Yeah.
We gotta have everybody that's here. I think that's really the thing.
I just feel happy if I just come home with money. You know?
I mean, we all want to make money. That's kind of why we're doing the extra thing called the expo. But for me, I think it's about getting out and seeing the new things that people are doing, because it's been a long time in our industry before people between new things, and so watching realistic things kind of be reborn in a different way in tattooing has been kind of remarkable at expos. Seeing the quality of work that people show up and command in a day. I mean, it's remarkable what they're doing. But I think some people go just to make friends. I want to watch. I want to see how that guy sets up, or I want to see how that chick, markets. I want to watch how people act. I want to see what our industry is doing. I think it's a great way to clock what our industry thinks is important at that time or in that city, And so it's just a little window, I think, in a lot of places that you otherwise wouldn't travel to see.
Right.
So
well, I want to say thank you for being here with us. And I mean, it wasn't that bad, was it?
No.
It was chill, right?
I told you I'm a grumpy good sport.
It was cool. It was definitely one of those things that it's just, this is what I love about, and this is really the reason why this podcast started, is because it's just to put out that information, give clients that etiquette of what to expect when they go into a shop. And all the pointers you talked about today are really great pointers, the experience, the experience that somebody comes into a shop to get,
Yeah, man, that's really all I can say that, I really am wearing a little pin in my hat for, I'm not an old head. I haven't been, solid tattooing for 30 years. I never shanked nobody, for nothing. So,
she said for nothing.
I'm not really anybody to write home about. I'm a regular person trying to do exceptional stuff, and I think where I'm at in my journey, I don't want to show up and tell people about how to run machines or how to build them, or I don't even think really regulation sits on my shoulders, but I'll tell people about service.
And you see, and that's the thing about we were talking about, like the beauty with coil machines. That was the beauty of a coil machine, that you had a machine. It was built for you.
Yeah.
You were the only one that handled it, and it was a privilege.
It was personal, right? You could punch the frame and make it lighter, or it was full mod.
And when another artist handed you one of his machines because you earned it,
that was like a little tattoo Christmas right there. If somebody was like, "Oh, here, have a machine of mine," it would blow you away, because that's how they fed themselves, right? So it's almost like someone giving you a bank account full of money.
Yeah.
Saying, here you go. Every time you use it, you can have a withdrawal.
And I mean, what do you do now? Just here's a pen. That everybody else has.
Yeah. I think it's like anything else, though. Tattoo machines are the bank accounts of tattooers, and if you show up and you yield that machine and you do what you can and you honor the craft, I don't think it matters how you do it, man. There's guys showing up with bamboo sticks and needles that really should wear all of the honor of our craft. And so if they're worried about how I'm doing it, they ought to come and check out what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, let us know. Tell us where they can find you on social media or.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's at Emily the Strange. It's EmilyThaStrange. I'm at Lucky Buddha Tattoo in Citrus Heights. Make sure you throw them a follow. It's an amazing shop. Check out our crew. I work with Doc Jones and Kat Rose and Shelby Carrion. Really, really amazing crew.
Yeah, man, when we met them all in Sacramento, man, they were all amazing. They were all so
It's so cool. I mean, we look out, the ladies that I work with. It's the first really, primarily female shop that I've worked in, and you always get nervous. You put a bunch of ladies together, you kind of don't know what that bomb will look like, but we look out, the three of us, we really get along great. I do more illustrative, kind of fine line. And when I say fine line, I don't just mean like a bug pin, toss it down, but I'm using 6 gauge singles right now, and I'm really doing some cool stuff. So I hope everybody checks that out. But Kat Rose does amazing, vibrant color pieces. Shelby does the most incredible, black and gray realism. And Doc Jones, Guy Jones is really into, the Japanese traditional stuff. And so as a shop, we're well-rounded, and it's cool because we can all kind of do whatever we need to do to get the job done. But tattooing is blessing us with the opportunity to kind of niche out and do what we love more. So I'm very blessed to be in that shop.
Oh, yeah. You guys heard it here. And Let's Talk Tinta. And there it is, Emily Owens. Emily the Strange on all platforms. And we'll make sure if you guys see this, like, share, comment, and give us a follow, and give her a follow, give
and
her a shout,
visit us all here
and come visit.
Toda Madre.
Yep, and this episode was sponsored by the Chariot at StingrayTattooNet.net. So give them a check out, and thank you all.
Thank you so much.